Lesson 2. Beautiful community, nobody can resist its pull. This is where I want to talk about our choir. So we have this great story around our choir, and the story goes like this. My brother is a prof at Bishop's University in Quebec, Lennoxville, Quebec, just outside of Sherbrooke, and has for years had a very strong choral program there. He teaches in another discipline, but also has a degree in music, and so has done the choral program there for years. And so as a family, we would always travel up to see one of his annual shows, and I was increasingly moved by what I saw unfold in terms of the beauty of that choir that he would put together year after year and its performance. Very moving. And so a year and a half ago, we were vacationing together and walking around on a summer's night, and I said to him, Jamie, would you ever consider coming to Phoenix and doing with us what I've seen you do with the choir at Bishop's? And thinking that this was a 3 to 4 year discussion where I'd have to work on him for a period of time before he agreed, he said, I'm on sabbatical next year, I'll do it. So last fall, just a year ago, for the first time ever, we formed a choir here at Phoenix. And the choir was made up of our youth, first and foremost, of community members from the communities in which we have the privilege of working, and from our own staff and volunteers. The criteria was you have to have a Phoenix connection in order to join. So we went from never having a choir before in very short order to having a choir of 50. The Bishop's choir, meantime, was 130 people strong. And so what we agreed to do was work up a common program where we'd be in Halifax working up a number of songs, and the Bishop's choir would be at Bishop's University working up the exact same program, with the agreement that at the end of the term, at the end of November, so again this was almost exactly a year ago, we would travel to Bishop's, come together as a united choir, do a performance there for 2 nights, come back to Halifax, the Bishop's choir would follow us here, do a united performance for 2 nights here in Halifax. We had this big dream. And there were a couple of moments where we knew that we had moved from, I have no idea whether this is going to work, to this is going to be beautiful. And one of the ones that I would share with you, keep in mind that we had some in this very well-traveled kids, some kids that were actively engaged in street and had intense stories to tell. And the moment for me when I knew we had arrived was the theme of the show that year was gospel. We were doing gospel songs. Some traditional songs, but also Leonard Cohen and a variety of others. And one of the songs that we were doing was an old traditional hymn called Abide With Me. And I knew the moment had arrived when we were gelling as a choir as I watched these kids to my left and to my right in the space in which we practiced, walk back for swaying to part perfect, Abide With Me. And I thought, this is a beautiful story of transformation. For those kids, for all of us in the choir, this was incredible. We work up our program, we travel to Bishop's, and it's hard for the kids to know what we were building because we had done parts of songs, we had done songs in isolation, and we get to Bishop's for the first joint rehearsal that we had ever done together, and the 2 choirs come together, and it's palpable. You can feel the excitement. You can feel just what is unfolding and formative and riveting. And we do that first long practice, 3 to 4 hours of making sure that we were meshing well as 2 choirs. They had known each other a bit through correspondence and pen pals and shared video messages, but this was the first time that we were together. Here's the pull of beautiful community. So we all felt it that night on the stage. We all felt that we were part of something that was riveting, part of something that was beautiful. But here's the part where nobody can resist the pull. We had this bus driver that had brought us from Halifax who was being very patient with us. And we go to get back on the bus. And he turns to Simon Abbott, who's now our director of the choir, was then the assistant director of the choir, and he says, can I make an announcement to the kids primarily? I want to speak to everybody, but can I make an announcement to the kids? And so Simon and I catch eyes, and we very tentatively say, well, I guess that would be okay. And I was 90% sure that what was going to follow was a message from him to us of, look, you can't be this loud on the bus. You can't keep moving around in the bus. Something about, traveling on the bus. Instead, he comes up, the bus had a PA system, he comes up to the mic and he delivers this impassioned message where he speaks from his heart and to the kids and says in a teary-eyed kind of way, I've never seen anything like that. And I want you to know I am so proud of you, and you should be proud of yourselves, and that you can do anything. Based on what I saw you do tonight, I'm confident you can do anything that you want to do with your lives. And the bus goes quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Kids are thinking, what is happening to us? Now the bus driver is telling us that we're great. And there was this beautiful moment. We get back to the hotel and we spend the next 2 hours just in a circle debriefing what we've just experienced and sharing our deepest thoughts about what this means for us and what our hopes are for the future. Nobody can resist the pull of beautiful community. I want to tell you what happened as a lead up to the concerts and then post the concerts. So in lead up to the concerts, we had something like 32 points of media coverage. It was incredible. We had several national documentaries done, and the coverage was just absolutely amazing. And then post the concerts, because I had invited a lot of my government counterparts who were very supportive and with whom we have great relationships to come to the concerts. They came to the concerts, and a week later I was chairing a committee on which many of them sit in this very room where I'm presenting, and we had a deep and intense agenda, a lot of ground to cover, and in the first 5 minutes the agenda went out the window because what folks wanted to talk about, what our government partners wanted to talk about, was what they had witnessed at the performances. They were moved, they were shaken, they were excited, and they saw those kids in a whole new light. And that's what we spent the bulk of that meeting talking about. Again, it was an absolutely transformative moment. I want to talk about Mulgrave Park, and I'm going to do so in a moment. But before I talk about Mulgrave Park, I just want to touch on a couple other things. So, a great individual by the name of Ronald Labonte, who's associated with University in Ottawa, has this way of talking about, or this way of writing about, empowerment. And empowerment for me is one of those much overused words, but I love this piece because it takes it from that generic term where everybody goes kind of just glassy-eyed to something really concrete. And in a moment, we're going to show a video. And when you're watching the video, I want you to watch for these three things. And I won't go through it line by line in the text. You can see it for yourselves. But in short, here's my paraphrase. Forgive me, Ronald, if this isn't what you intended, but here's my paraphrase of this. In order for people to reach their full empowerment, they need certain kinds of experiences. First, you need an aha moment in your life where you really think that you're quite wonderful, a moment in time that you can point to and you think, today I really kicked ass. I mean, that is a moment where I really felt like I hit it out of the park. You need to feel, like you're connected and have a sense of collective identity, like you belong to a community. And by community, we mean constructive and positive and something that allows you to feel good about yourself and those that you're connected with. It's part of how your identity gets constructed. And three, you need to feel like you can influence the world around you and gather in the resources and the support and develop the skills you need in order to make the changes and direct your life in the way that you want to direct it. These are key elements of empowerment. These are absolutely essential elements of empowerment. And so thank you to Ronald Labonte for offering those up in a concise way that we can think about them and use them and start to use it as a lens to look at our program. So now I want to show you a video clip. And the video clip is from one of our performances. CBC TV, thank you, was doing a national documentary. So the lighting on this is a little off because they had certain lighting needs. We were up in the balcony filming it for our own purposes, and so that's the footage you're going to see. So forgive the dim lighting. I think it will will carry through nonetheless. And again, I want you to think about those 3 points of empowerment as you watch the video.